M. The Media Project. Driven by data. Driven by technology. Driven by community development. Driven by the need to get results for your project. SM Graves Associates. Delivering real estate development to you, including project management and pre-development services with a keen focus on delivering community-oriented projects. We build profitable projects that respond to the needs of your neighborhood. Join the SMG family. Find us at smgravesassociates.com.
I'm writing to you, dear reader, at dawn on the 4th of July, 2025. I always get up at dawn on this day, as it's my desire to engage this day for every moment I can. As my citizenship evolved over the years, well into my adulthood, the day has become, for me, a mix of celebration and contemplation. Thoughts of the past days of July. I mean, just how extraordinary both Adams and Jefferson made it to this day and passed within hours of each other 50 years after they signed the Declaration. Or of the fateful days of Gettysburg, the debates on the floor of the Second Continental Congress, or of days like the day in 1924, when citizens of my hometown, including relatives of mine, refused the Klan to enter the town after riots broke out in a neighboring city. In recent years, the 4th of July for me is a day of increasing pensive thoughts, contemplating where we may be headed as a citizenry. When faced with the current set of circumstances as they are, each of us must make their decision as to how their actions will be seen by history, even as for most of us, history will not remember us nor our actions. But tomorrow's people will remember how we got them to where they will be, dear reader. In this way, the actions of millions do in fact affect what will be and how those alive at that future time will reflect on us. In a letter to William Stephen Smith, Thomas Jefferson included the quote, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure." He was responding to a letter describing Shays' rebellion. I'll give you my seen through the lens of a modern working class man version. Farmers in Massachusetts came back from fighting the Revolution to find the new state of Massachusetts bankrupt, due to a failed expedition to defeat a British installation at Penobscot Bay, Maine. They paid many veterans in land, concentrated in the western third of Massachusetts and other rural places like Bristol and Worcester counties. When war bonds, purchased largely by the state's elite, including John and Abigail Adams, came due, Massachusetts had a problem. It was cash-strapped, and the legislature, divided roughly by urban eastern mercantile traders versus rural and relatively land-wealthy Westerners, was in no position to argue with their own. The decision was made to tax land rather than property and goods. The problem was, it took years to develop raw land, an issue for those veterans turned farmers. Imagine yourself having spent years fighting in service to the cause of liberty and taxation without representation. You're mere years from making your new land profitable. You have plenty of food, your husbandry is bearing fruit. But cash is one thing that's generally hard to come by. The same state that gave you your land a few years back because it couldn't pay you in cash sends the tax man to collect. Without specie to give, The tax man takes your hogs, your silage, your fat goose, anything to collect your taxes. And at that, you may starve come winter. That's when the farmers marched on the courts to stop bankruptcies and save their families. Jefferson was not on the side of the farmers. Neither were the Adamses. It's not that they didn't sympathize, as their letters surely tell us they did. Both sides had a difficult choice, as we're often given in life, of making the better of two horrible decisions. The elites chose their own well-being over those who fought their war, and it had profound consequences for us all. In some sense, I see all of us today in a similar position. We each have to ask, are we the farmers? Are we the leaders holding on to an ever untenable status quo? You see, Shays' Rebellion and others across the colonies just like it led to the end of the government under the Articles of Confederation. It led to our current Constitution, which I believe we must fight for now. It does not feel as though, but we find ourselves in a privileged position. One out of necessity, the need to revisit and revitalize our constitutional republic. Circumstances have called citizens to this privilege. It is not an easy position. It's not one that offers us comfort. It is not one that comes without serious risk to personal wealth and welfare, nor for one's family, nor one's community. But I believe we are part of a continuum. From the English Civil War and Charles I's insistence that it was his alone, not the right of Parliament, to levy taxes or strip people of rights, to the glorious Revolution of 1688, which gave us the English Constitution. From our own revolution and our own Civil War, an attempt to determine whether all of us on this continent can build a new, inclusive, forward-thinking society, one based on the rule of law, placed equally at opportunity, leaving no person out. Now, whether we like it or not, times call on us. It is our moment, and we cannot let this go. I'm ever encouraged by the history of the state of my birth, Massachusetts. What started off as a patriarchal theocracy, the ideal of the Commonwealth, has stood since 1630 and has required each of us to define, really to redefine what that actually means. On through the generations, the people of Massachusetts have redefined what it means to live in a commonwealth of citizens. This is a responsibility and opportunity joined together. When the king took independence away from Massachusetts after King Philip's War, rescinding Massachusetts Bay's original independent colonial charter in 1676, the colonists were apoplectic. A century later, the colonists decided for themselves a new future. We each now have to decide for ourselves what we do next. Let it be known to you, dear reader, I am ever for honoring my birthright, to defend the less fortunate, the ostracized, the working class, the casted out, the one needing a roof, a job, or a country. And I'm willing to pay any price, fight any person, demand no less than the realization for the true cause of liberty.
SMG's Are We Here Yet podcast is a production of M the Media Project and SM Graves Associates. Learn more at smgravesassociates.com.